In a time when the world was dominated by kings and emperors, where the very fabric of Europe was being woven by the hands of powerful men, there emerged a figure whose influence would challenge the status quo. Nestled in the rolling hills of Italy, amidst the political intrigue of the Middle Ages, stood a woman whose name would echo through the annals of history. Matilda of Tuscany, a countess with the heart of a warrior, navigated the treacherous waters of politics, religion, and war. She wasn't just a beacon of hope for her people, but a formidable force that even the mightiest of rulers hesitated to cross. Join us as we unravel the epic saga of the Iron Countess who stood defiantly against emperors and popes, shaping the destiny of a continent. Matilda of Tuscany, a prominent figure from the House of Canossa, also known as the Attinids, was a beacon of power and influence during the Italian Middle Ages. Her reign was marked by relentless battles, political subterfuge, and a series of excommunications by the Roman Catholic Church. Yet, amidst this chaos, Matilda showcased an uncanny ability to lead, both on the battlefield and in diplomatic circles. Matilda's lineage traced back to the esteemed House of Canossa, often referred to as the Attinids. However, these designations were coined by subsequent generations. The earliest confirmed ancestor from this noble house was Sigefrid, who hailed from the county of Lucca during the early 10th century. He expanded his influence around Parma and likely into the Apennine foothills. His son, Adalberto, managed to consolidate several castles in the fragmented Apennine region and was the visionary behind the construction of the Canossa Castle in the mountains southwest of Reggio Emilia. The political landscape shifted dramatically in 950 with the sudden death of King Lothair II of Italy. Seizing the opportunity, Berenger of Ivrea aimed to establish his dominance. However, after a brief captivity, Lothair's widow, Queen Adelaide, sought sanctuary with Adalberto at Canossa Castle. This prompted King Otto I of East Francia to step into the Italian fray, eventually marrying Adelaide in 951. This union forged a strong alliance between the Canossa house and the Ottonian dynasty. With Otto I's backing, Adalberto not only became a prominent advocate but also initiated ties with the papacy. His territories expanded to include the counties of Reggio and Modena, and by 977, the county of Mantua was integrated into his dominion. Tedald, Adalberto's son and Matilda's grandfather, perpetuated the family's close relationship with the Ottonian monarchs from 988 onwards. By 996, he was recognized as both a duke and margrave, titles that would be inherited by future Canossa rulers. Potential discord arising from an inheritance dispute among Tedald's three sons was skillfully averted. The family's zenith of power was realized under the leadership of Matilda's father, Boniface. 3 consecutive Canossa leaders, Adalberto, Tedald, and Boniface, leveraged monasteries as instruments of governance. They strategically established monasteries like Barcello, Poleron, and Santa Maria di Falonica at key transport and strategic locations to reinforce their vast territories. They also invoked the patronage of 3 family saints, Genesius, Apollonius, and Simeon, to fortify the Canossa power dynamics. By transferring monasteries to local bishops and championing spiritual institutions, they expanded their alliance network. Their role as custodians of order further solidified their standing along the Via Emilia. Historian Arnaldo Tincani highlighted the impressive tally of 120 farms under Canossa stewardship near the Po River. In the grand tapestry of European history, the union of 2 influential figures marked a significant chapter. In 1036, during the wedding celebrations of Conrad II's son Henry with Gunhilda of Denmark in Nijmegen, Boniface of Canossa encountered Beatrice of Lorraine. She was the cherished niece and adopted daughter of Empress Gisela of Swabia. By the following year, their grand wedding was celebrated, and they held court at Marengo for 3 months. Beatrice's dowry was substantial, bringing with her key assets from Lorraine, including the chateau of Brie and several lordships. Raised in the imperial court after the tragic loss of her parents, Beatrice's marriage to Boniface was not just a union of hearts but also a strategic alliance, promising an heir for Boniface, whose previous marriage had been childless. The couple was blessed with 3 children, Frederick, Beatrice, and Matilda, the youngest, born around 1046. The mystery surrounding Matilda's birthplace has been a topic of debate among historians. Some believe she was born in Lucca, while others argue for Canossa or Mantua. Regardless of her birthplace, Matilda's early years were profoundly influenced by her mother, a learned woman. Matilda herself was fluent in Latin and is believed to have spoken German and French. The extent of her military education remains a topic of contention among scholars. Boniface's reputation was a mix of fear and disdain among some vassals. His life met a tragic end in 1052 when he was ambushed and killed near Mantua. The mantle of leadership fell on Frederick, Matilda's brother, with their mother acting as regent. However, Beatrice's death in 1076 and Frederick's earlier demise left Matilda as the sole heir to the Canossa legacy. In a bid to protect her family's interests, Beatrice married Godfrey the Bearded, a move that infuriated Emperor Henry III. The emperor's ire led to the arrest of both Beatrice and Matilda in 1055. However, the political landscape shifted with the emperor's death in 1056, leading to their release and the restoration of the Canossa's power. Upon their return to Italy, Matilda's prominence grew. She was recognized as the sole heiress to a vast territory in the southern part of the empire. The Canossa family, with its close ties to the papacy, played a pivotal role in the Gregorian reforms and the contested papal elections. Matilda's first visit to Rome was in 1059, accompanying Nicholas II. As the years progressed, her stepfather and mother actively supported the papacy, while Matilda's exact role remains a bit elusive. However, records indicate her involvement in a 1067 campaign against Prince Richard I of Capua, marking her first known contribution to the papal cause. In the midst of the political turbulence of Henry IV's minority, Beatrice and Godfrey the Bearded sought to solidify the alliance between the houses of Lorraine and Canossa. Around 1055, a betrothal was arranged between Matilda and her stepbrother, Godfrey the Hunchback. As Godfrey the Bearded's health waned in 1069, Matilda and Beatrice rushed to Lorraine, ensuring a seamless transition of power. At his deathbed, Matilda was acknowledged as Godfrey the Hunchback's wife. The subsequent years saw Matilda expecting a child, but the joy was short-lived as their daughter, named Beatrice, passed away shortly after birth in 1071. The marriage between Matilda and Godfrey the Hunchback quickly soured. Factors like the tragic death of their child and Godfrey's physical condition might have contributed to the rift. By the end of 1071, Matilda had distanced herself from her husband, returning to Italy. Godfrey, however, was not ready to let go. He ventured into Italy in 1072, asserting his rights as her spouse and staking a claim on her territories. Despite his efforts, Matilda remained resolute in her decision to separate. Godfrey sought assistance from Pope Gregory VII, hoping for a reconciliation. Yet, by 1074, all hopes of mending their relationship had evaporated. Matilda even contemplated taking monastic vows and sought the Pope's help to annul her marriage, but Gregory VII, having his own political calculations, declined her request. The widening chasm between the couple was further exacerbated by the Investiture Controversy, a significant conflict between the Pope and Henry IV over the appointment rights of bishops and abbots. Matilda and Godfrey found themselves on opposing sides, straining their relationship even further. Rumors swirled, with some suggesting that Godfrey had a hand in accusing Matilda of having an illicit relationship with Pope Gregory VII. The tumultuous relationship came to an abrupt end with Godfrey the Hunchback's assassination in 1076. The timing was suspicious, coming on the heels of the allegations of Matilda's affair with the Pope. Consequently, many speculated that Matilda might have orchestrated her husband's murder. However, considering the delay in communication at the time, it's unlikely she was even aware of the allegations when Godfrey was killed. The true instigator of his death remains a mystery. Interestingly, while Matilda did not offer any spiritual tributes for her late husband or their daughter, her mother, Beatrice, made a donation in 1071 for the well-being of her granddaughter's soul. Matilda's audacious choice to leave her husband not only asserted her autonomy but also paved the way for her ascent to leadership. With foresight, Beatrice began grooming Matilda for leadership, jointly holding court with her and gradually empowering her to issue charters independently as both countess and duchess. Their strategy was to maintain a visible presence across their territories. While they had a firm grip on regions like Emilia-Romagna, the southern Apennines proved more challenging. To bolster their influence, they positioned themselves as custodians of justice and public order. Matilda's involvement in the administration is evident from her participation in numerous placidum, or court sessions, some of which she presided over alone. In 1072, Matilda, alongside her mother, ruled in favor of the Abbey of San Salvatore in Monte Amiata. By February 1073, she was confidently holding court on her own in Lucca, making significant donations to religious institutions. For a period, her whereabouts remained uncertain while her mother participated in the enthronement ceremonies of Pope Gregory VII. Matilda's relationship with the Church was further solidified through her close ties with key figures in the Church reform movement, notably Pope Gregory VII. Their association dated back to the 1060s when he was still Archdeacon Hildebrand. Their bond strengthened post his papal election, with Matilda and Beatrice becoming his trusted allies. However, the landscape shifted dramatically with Beatrice's death in 1076. In a gesture of piety and remembrance, Matilda made significant donations to the Bishop Landulf and the chapter of Pisa Cathedral in 1077, in honor of her parents' souls. The subsequent deaths of her husband and mother in quick succession positioned Matilda as a formidable power player. She was now the unchallenged inheritor of her family's vast territories. Had Godfrey the Hunchback outlived Beatrice, her inheritance might have been at risk. But with his demise, Matilda's status was elevated, granting her the privileges of widowhood. However, the looming question remained, would Emperor Henry IV formally recognize her authority over the Margraviate? Upon her mother's passing, Matilda assumed control of the vast Canossa inheritance. This move was unconventional, given the prevailing Salic and Lombard laws of the Kingdom of Italy, which would have designated Emperor Henry IV as the rightful heir. However, the Canossa family's close ties with the reformist papacy and Henry IV's youth made imperial law a secondary concern. In the years between 1076 and 1080, Matilda ventured to Lorraine, asserting her rights over her late husband's estate in Verdun. This estate had been bequeathed to Godfrey of Bouillon, the son of her husband's sister, Ida. Additionally, Godfrey of Bouillon contested Matilda's claim over Stenay and Mosse, territories that her mother had acquired as part of her dowry. The dispute over the episcopal county of Verdun was eventually arbitrated by Theoderic, the Bishop of Verdun. Given his authority to appoint counts, Theoderic ruled in Matilda's favor, a decision that aligned with the interests of both Pope Gregory VII and King Henry IV. Following this verdict, Matilda strategically granted Verdun to Albert III of Namur, a cousin of her late husband and a supporter of church reforms. The lingering bitterness between Matilda and her nephew, Godfrey of Bouillon, is believed to have influenced her decision not to participate in the First Crusade towards the end of the 1090s, which Godfrey led. Matilda's familial connection to Henry IV, as second cousins through their grandmothers Matilda of Swabia and Empress Gisela, positioned her as a potential mediator between the Emperor and the Holy See. With the escalating conflict between King Henry IV and Pope Gregory VII, Matilda and her mother Beatrice emerged as trusted allies of the Pope. Gregory VII kept them privy to his strategies against the Roman German king. The tension reached its zenith post the Synod of Worms in January 1076. Here, Henry IV, alongside key archbishops and bishops, leveled severe accusations against Gregory VII, including insinuations about the Pope's relationship with Matilda. In retaliation, Gregory VII excommunicated the king on February 15, 1076, absolving his subjects from their loyalty to him. This act sent shockwaves throughout the realm. As southern German princes rallied in Trebur, awaiting the Pope, Matilda's primary responsibility became ensuring the Pope's safe passage north. Given her vast territories, she was the Pope's best bet for safe passage. However, Henry IV had other intentions. Opting for a show of penance, he journeyed to Canossa, Matilda's stronghold, standing barefoot in the snow outside its gates. This iconic act of penance, with the king standing humbly outside Matilda's castle, became a pivotal moment in medieval history. By January 28, after 3 days of Henry's penance and at Matilda's urging, Gregory VII agreed to meet him. The setting of Canossa Castle for this historic reconciliation meant Matilda played a crucial role in the discussions. With the help of Matilda and Adelaide, a truce was brokered between the Pope and the Emperor. Henry IV was readmitted into the church, with both women standing as witnesses to the agreement. The events at Canossa were not just politically significant but also logistically challenging for Matilda. She had to ensure the accommodation and sustenance of all attendees during the harsh winter. After the ban was lifted, Henry IV remained in the Papal for several months, showcasing his rulership, while Pope Gregory VII took refuge in Matilda's castles. The two men, Henry IV and Matilda, never met again after the events at Canossa. From 1077 to 1080, Matilda resumed her regular duties, overseeing donations and managing court documents. Matilda's marriage to Wilf V in 1089 was a significant political move, aimed at strengthening her position against Henry IV. The union of Matilda, a staunch supporter of the papacy, with Wilf V, a member of the Wilf dynasty, was intended to create a formidable alliance against the Salian dynasty and Henry IV in particular. However, the marriage was unconventional from the start. The age difference between the two was notable, with Matilda being in her early 40s and Wilf V being a teenager. While political marriages often involved significant age differences, this particular union was striking. The primary motive behind the marriage was political, but there might have been hopes for an heir, given the importance of succession in medieval politics. The account by Cosmas of Prague, though considered spurious by modern historians, paints a vivid picture of the dynamics of their relationship. The letter he included in his chronicle, purportedly from Matilda to Wilf V, showcases her assertiveness and the importance she placed on the union. The subsequent account of their wedding night, with Wilf V's hesitance and Matilda's dramatic response, highlights the tensions and complexities of their relationship. Despite the rocky start, Wilf V is documented as Matilda's consort on several occasions, indicating that he played a role in her political activities. However, by 1095, their relationship had deteriorated, and they were effectively separated. Wilf V's absence from Matilda's documents after this point underscores their estrangement. The reasons for their separation are not explicitly detailed in historical records, but given the political nature of their union and the challenges they faced, it's likely that a combination of personal and political factors played a role. Wilf IV's attempts at reconciliation suggest that the Wilf family still saw value in the alliance, especially considering Matilda's vast territories and the potential for inheritance. In the end, Matilda's marriage to Wilf V serves as a testament to the complexities of medieval politics, where personal relationships were often secondary to political alliances and strategies. Matilda's later years were marked by a shift in the balance of power in Italy. As the 11th century progressed, the rise of independent city-states began to reshape the political landscape. These cities, or communities, began to assert their autonomy, often through the election of consuls, which symbolized their independence from overarching feudal structures. Despite the challenges posed by these emerging city-states, Matilda managed to navigate the shifting political terrain with some success. Her ability to forge alliances, such as the one with Lucian de Luca through marriage ties, allowed her to maintain influence in key regions. Additionally, her continued donations to ecclesiastical institutions solidified her position as a key patron and supporter of the Church. However, the dynamics of her rule had changed. The crises of the previous decades meant that Matilda could no longer rule unilaterally. Instead, she had to adopt a more consensual approach, consulting with both spiritual and secular nobles before making decisions. This collaborative style of governance was a departure from the more autocratic rule of her earlier years. Furthermore, the bishops in her territories began to assert themselves more, both within their episcopal cities and in the surrounding areas. They often acted as mediators, addressing grievances and ensuring the rule of law. This shift meant that Matilda's role as the primary guarantor of law and order was somewhat diminished. Matilda's court, during the 12th century, was a hub of intellectual and political activity. Unlike many of her contemporaries, Matilda's court was not just a place of pomp and ceremony, but also a center of learning and administration. The presence of scholars such as Anselm of Lucca, Heribert of Reggio, and Johannes of Mantua, among others, indicates the intellectual vibrancy of her court. These scholars were not just passive members but actively contributed to the intellectual and administrative activities of the court. Matilda's court was unique in its emphasis on the written word. The vast number of documents, letters, and other written records that have survived from her reign is a testament to the importance she placed on documentation. This emphasis on writing was not just for record-keeping but also served as a tool for governance. By using written documents, Matilda could extend her influence and authority across her vast domains, even when she was not physically present. The use of seals and titles in her documents was also significant. Seals were a symbol of authority and authenticity, and Matilda's use of them indicates her understanding of their importance. Her title, Filia Quondam Magni Bonifatii Ducis, which translates to daughter of the once great Duke Boniface, is a clear reference to her lineage and her right to rule. This title, combined with her unique phrase Matilda Dei Gratia esse quid est, underscores her divine right to rule and her awareness of her unique position. The itinerant nature of her court, moving from place to place, was a practical necessity given the vastness of her domains. However, it also served a symbolic purpose. By moving her court, Matilda was able to show her presence and assert her authority across her territories. This constant movement, combined with her use of written documents, allowed her to maintain control and influence over her vast domains. Matilda's court also played a crucial role in the larger political dynamics of the time. Her support for the papacy, her opposition to Henry IV, and her alliances with various political and religious figures made her court a significant player in the political landscape of 11th and 12th century Italy. Matilda of Tuscany, also known as Matilda of Canossa, was a pivotal figure in medieval Italy's history. Contrary to the widespread belief, she didn't consistently make donations to churches and monasteries throughout her life. Elkago's discovery of contemporary diplomas revealed that her early donations were quite limited, especially after the death of her mother. However, as time progressed, her donations became more strategic. She focused on supporting monasteries and churches that fell within her sphere of influence, ensuring their loyalty and consolidating her power. One of Matilda's significant contributions was her support for the construction of various cathedrals, notably the Pisa Cathedral. Through multiple donations, she ensured the continuation of these monumental construction projects, leaving a lasting architectural mark on the region. In addition to her architectural patronage, Matilda was a staunch supporter of the Gregorian reforms, which aimed to diminish secular interference in church matters. She frequently donated to bishops who championed these reforms, reinforcing her position as a defender of the papacy against secular encroachments. Her influence wasn't limited to churches and cathedrals. Matilda was known to intervene in monastic affairs when she deemed it necessary. A notable instance was with the Benedictine nuns of San Sisto of Piacenza. She took decisive action against what she perceived as immorality within the religious institution, showcasing her commitment to upholding religious integrity. Beyond her religious patronage, Matilda was also deeply involved in social welfare. She founded numerous hospitals, which played a crucial role in caring for the poor and pilgrims. These establishments were not just acts of charity, they were strategic moves that helped in legitimizing her rule, demonstrating her commitment to the well-being of her subjects. Furthermore, she is traditionally believed to have founded several churches across various regions, emphasizing her expansive influence and dedication to spreading Christianity. Matilda of Tuscany's later years were marked by the looming question of succession. Given her inability to bear children, the inheritance of the House of Canossa became a pressing concern. In what seemed like a solution to this predicament, she adopted Guido Guerra, a member of the influential Guidi family. This family had been staunch supporters of Matilda in Florence, making Guido a seemingly suitable choice. However, the House of Savoy, descendants of Matilda of Canossa, were technically the genealogical heirs. Guido Guerra's adoption was documented in a diploma dated November 12, 1099, where he was referred to as Matilda's adopted son. This adoption seemed to be a strategic move, as it was during a period when Matilda was surrounded by an unusually large number of vassals. The two collaborated on several occasions, notably in their support for the Vallambrosians order and their joint donations to the monastery of Vallombrosa. However, the dynamics changed when Matilda decided to bequeath her property to the Apostolic See in 1102, a move known as the Second Matildine Donation. This decision dashed Guido's hopes of inheritance, leading him to distance himself from Matilda. Despite this, he still signed a few more documents with her, particularly for the Abbey of Polyron. Historians have debated the nature of Matilda's relationship with Guido Guerra. Elcagos posits that Guido's adoption was a calculated move, driven by Matilda's need for a competent administrator for Tuscany. The strategic location of the Guidi family's estates would have been a valuable asset to the House of Canossa. Guido, on the other hand, likely saw the adoption as an opportunity for upward mobility and a chance to solidify his family's dominance in Tuscany, especially against rivals like the Catalinger family. However, Paolo Gallinelli offers a different perspective, suggesting that while Guido held a significant position among Matilda's vassals, he might not have been formally adopted. This view is supported by the fact that after 1108, Guido's appearances in Matilda's documents dwindled, only resurfacing once in 1115 when Matilda was on her deathbed. The ambiguity surrounding Guido Guerra's adoption and his relationship with Matilda underscores the complex political landscape of the time, where alliances were fluid and decisions were often driven by both personal and political considerations. The Matildine donation, a significant event in the 12th century, has been a subject of much debate and speculation among historians. This donation refers to Matilda of Tuscany's decision to transfer her vast properties to the Apostolic See, a gesture that would have significant implications for the balance of power in the region. The act of donation took place at Canossa Castle in 1102, witnessed by a surprisingly small number of attendees, considering its importance. The document was attested by two individuals of no significant rank, Atto from Montebaronzone and Bonus Vicinus from Canossa, neither of whom appear in any other known certificate. The historical context and authenticity of the Matildine donation have been subjects of contention among scholars. Some, like Paolo Gallinelli, argue that the 1102 donation is a forgery from the 1130s. He suggests that Matilda actually designated Henry V as her sole heir in 1110-11. Johannes Laudich also expressed doubts about the authenticity of the donation. However, other historians, such as Elka and Werner Goes, consider the 1102 donation document to be genuine. They argue that the renewed transfer of the Terra Matildish was prompted by concerns about the Welfs, especially after the death of Welf IV in 1101. His son, Welf V, through his marriage to Matilda, had rights over the House of Canossa's domains. This might have necessitated a reference to an earlier inheritance agreement made before Matilda's second marriage. Werner Goes offers an explanation for Matilda's continued control over her properties even after the 1102 donation. He suggests that there might have been differing interpretations of the legal implications of the donation. Matilda possibly did not intend to relinquish all her estates and rights and might not have fully grasped the far-reaching consequences of the donation's wording. Matilda of Tuscany, in the twilight of her life, focused on strengthening the Abbey of Polyron, a significant religious institution. She took decisive actions against clergy who violated their vows, emphasizing her commitment to church reforms. The Abbey of Polyron, due to Matilda's patronage, became a significant religious and political center, and she chose it as her final resting place. As she aged and her health declined, the question of her vast inheritance became pressing. While she had earlier donated her properties to the Apostolic See, her interactions with Henry V, the Holy Roman Emperor, brought about a change. Their meeting in 1111 at Castle of Bianello led to a mutual agreement, the details of which remain a subject of debate among historians. Some believe that Matilda recognized Henry V as her heir, while others argue that she remained committed to the papal cause. In her final years, Matilda's health deteriorated, and she retreated to her properties, including the town of Bondino di Roncourt. Her death in 1115 marked the end of an era. The territories she once controlled quickly fell under the influence of Henry V, with many of her former vassals pledging allegiance to the emperor. Matilda's legacy, however, lived on. Initially buried in the Abbey of San Benedetto in Palermo, her remains were later moved to Rome and finally to St. Peter's Basilica in the Vatican. Her burial site, designed by the renowned artist Gian Lorenzo Bernini, stands as a testament to her significant role in the religious and political affairs of her time. Matilda is remembered not just as a powerful ruler but also as a staunch supporter of the papal cause and a key figure in the Investiture Controversy. Thank you for watching this episode of History Uncovered. We delved deep into the life and legacy of Matilda of Tuscany, a pivotal figure in the religious and political landscape of medieval Europe. If you found this video informative and engaging, please like and subscribe to our channel for more fascinating stories from the past. Your support helps us bring history to life for viewers like you. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications so that you never miss a new video. As we close this chapter, the algorithm suggests another intriguing tale from history for you. Click on the video on the screen now to uncover another captivating story.